Today on Arts 24's film show, it was a low-budget erotic film that became the most successful French movie of the time. Emmanuelle went on to be the symbol of the sexual liberation and free love of the 70s. 50 years after Just Jaeckin's movie became a global phenomenon, a remake is being released with some big changes, and it's directed by a woman, award-winning director Audrey Divan. The action has moved from Thailand to Hong Kong, and the character exploring her sexual desires is played by Noémie Merlant.
What exactly are you looking for?
Only two types of guests frequent luxury hotels. Those on the prowl, and those on the run.
Do you get pleasure? Why wouldn't I?
What can you tell me about him?
You seem to be a stickler for rules, but you don't always follow them, do you?
Is it a game?
Why should I answer?
Because I can't stop thinking about you.
In today's show, we're going to look at whether having a female behind the camera frees this iconic sex symbol from the male gaze. And we'll talk about how the 1974 film plays in a post-Metoo era. With me in the studio is film critic Perrine Quennesson. And joining us from Brussels is the author Camille Moreau, who specialises in erotic literature. Hello to you both. Now, Perrine, the 1974 film is about a married woman who embarks on a voyage of sexual discovery. Describe it for us.
Yeah, so Emmanuelle is the story of a woman, played by Sylvia Christel, who's learning free love. It's a story about discovery, desiring bodies, wounding hearts, with a woman having, I would say, numerous sensual and sexual encounters with men and women during the movie. So it was seen as very cheeky, to say the least, at the time when it was released. But to be honest, it's more suggestive than demonstrative right now. So it went on to be such a huge success, cult movie right now. To imagine the phenomenon at that time, you have to imagine that there was like huge queues in front of cinemas, huge posters all over Paris. In total, there was like 9 million French people who went to see the movie, almost 150 million all around the world. So it's very, very big. In Paris, there is even a cinema on the Champs-Élysées who kept it on a bill during 10 years. So that's huge.
And how do you explain the success of the film, do you think?
Well, actually, it was such a scandalous movie, but, you know, scandal is not the reason, the only reason of success. It's because also the movie benefited of an amazing alignment of planets at the time. It was in the 1970s. There was this sexual freedom in the 70s. It was just after May 68 where we really had this discussion between, you know, sexuality and procreation. It was both separated, so real big liberation. And also, there was this newly president elected, Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, during his campaign. He promised the end of censorship, and he delivered just a month before the release of the movie. So with all the green flags, Emmanuelle was meant to be a success.
Okay, well, Camille, the 1974 film was the adaptation of an erotic 1959 novel, which was sold under the counter. You've written a book about it called Emmanuelle Arsan, and the original film was quite different to the novel, and it was penned by a woman, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. It was penned by a woman, but not only by a woman and her husband, which is really important because it's a collaboration between a man and a woman that the image of desire is so effective in the book. And the 74 movie is not that different from the book plot-wise, but it's really different from the spirit of the book. The plot is quite respected, but the spirit not at all.
Okay, in 50 years and 10 sequels later, the new film is said to be an adaptation for our times that takes into account the evolution of society. Is it, do you think?
The D1 movie is quite... if Emmanuelle was still alive today and she has been through the Metoo movement and what is going to happen to her and to her desire. So I think it's really quite true to the book still today. But if Metoo has arrived in the meantime, it's about how we lose desire because we have an abundance of pleasure all the time, and how that affects also our ability to desire someone or something.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the new film.
His body kept banging against mine, making a repetitive tempo. I felt his damp skin, his His hot breath on my shoulder blades to the rhythm of his thrusting. And the noise, always the same. It was like the sound of a train or a machine operating full speed.
That was a clip from the new movie. What's the main difference between Just Jaeckin's Emmanuelle and Audrey Divan's?
So they have both the same plot, mainly. They have key scenes in common, but one is set in Thailand, the one from 1974. The new one is in Hong Kong. And I would say just Jaeckin Emmanuelle is a more steamy, dreamlike movie about a woman, an idle woman, to be honest, who discovering her own desire. And this new adaptation of Emmanuelle Arsan's book is more cerebral. It's more, it deals with a working woman who tries to find her own pleasure in the world, like Camille just said, a world where desire is everywhere, where you have to be perfect all the time, where consumption is immediate. And this new version tries to find a pleasure. That's the main thing. So the movie takes its time, really. It takes its time, it takes its rhythm to find really the tone. And ultimately, it's proving to be a powerful exploration of female pleasure, really. And at least the last half hour is absolutely beautiful. It's like a stroll in a very, I would say, sweaty Hong Kong, and it's very, very beautiful. It reminds me of In the Mood for Love of Wong Kar-wai, which is a great compliment, to be honest.
Okay, and Camille, is the new version, would you say, more in line with the original book?
Yes, it's more in line with the spirit because it's the same story of a woman who is searching for her own desire, but by herself. I mean, she's really trying to find it by herself with no help from the men, while in the Just Jaeckin movie, all the teaching was done by the men. And now it's all obviously different because the look we have at the actress is from a woman. So it's very different. It's more true to the book than the Just Jaeckin movie was.
Okay, well, let's have a listen now to the director, Audrey Divan, talking to France 24's Louise Dupont about eroticism.
I
was excited to take on this subject matter, not because I wanted to make any particular judgment or challenge a film I've never seen. After having read the book, I asked myself the question, does eroticism still exist in our society? Can I make viewers want to imagine or project themselves in this story so that they're not just passive spectators in front of a film? I wanted to imagine a woman without any desire, who lives in quite an oppressive society, one that tells her that she has to be perfect all the time. Can this woman find her desire?
Desire ebbs and flows. It evolves. It wears off too.
Camille, the sex scenes in the original film are often very problematic, with the actress the object of desire, and there's a big issue of lack of consent, especially in a group rape scene at the end. What do you think of the sex scenes in the new film?
Well, there's a big difference in the Audrey Divan movie between the sex scenes at the beginning of the movie and the sex scene at the end. So not to reveal too much, but there is quite a gradation in the ability of the heroine to really grab her desires and really act them for herself. The sex scene at the beginning of the movie are really quite dissociated. She's not really there, but she learned more and more to really act sexually for herself, and that's quite beautiful to see, actually. And the fact that the movie is quite slowly going to this point, it's quite agreeable, I think, because we are with her on this quest, and it's really nice to watch, I think.
And the actress, remember Sylvia Crystal's life was defined by her role in the original film. We asked actress Noémie Merlant if she was concerned about the same thing happening to her.
It doesn't scare me. I don't care if people associate me with an erotic film. I felt like some people were scared, but that actually made me want to do the project even more. Working with women and discussing the idea of female pleasure in 2024 is what interested and excited me the most.
Well, we are running out of time, but a final question to you, Perrine. Do you think women can free themselves from the male gaze and desire?
No, I hope so in everyday life, but which is very interesting to see female directors play with this notion. There's this movie, The Substance, which is going to be released very soon in France. And in this movie, the director, Coralie Farja, exaggerate the male gaze very much to mock it. Here in Audrey Divan's movie, she turns it on its head because it's the gaze of a desirous woman, which is great, actually. So, fortunately, gaze isn't only male anymore. For now, I wish.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of the show. Film critic Perrine Quennesson and author Camille Moreau, thank you so much for joining us. Audrey Divan's Emmanuelle is out in French cinemas this week. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
When you were in my room, what did you do?
I went in your bath.
You should get out.
Just go. I'm afraid.
What a delicious feeling.
And what's your name?
La 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 la.